3 years ago, I got a raise, $480 a month. I remember exactly how it felt standing in my manager's office, hearing the number. I shook his hand. I walked back to my desk. I sat down and I thought about what I was going to do with $480 extra every month. I had a list. Pay down some debt faster. Increase my savings contribution. Maybe finally start investing. I had a real plan for that $480 and I felt genuinely good about where I was headed. 6 months later, I could not tell you where a single dollar of it went. Not because anything dramatic happened. No emergency. No big purchase I could point to. The money just disappeared into my life the same way all the other money disappeared into my life, and 6 months after the raise, I was in exactly the same financial position I had been in before it. Same amount saved. Same amount stressed. Same feeling at the end of every month that there was never quite enough. Just with a slightly nicer apartment, and a slightly more expensive grocery habit, and a slightly newer phone, and a completely invisible explanation for how $480 a month had evaporated without a single memorable decision. This happened to me 3 times. 3 raises. 3 moments of genuine optimism about what the extra money would do for my financial life. 3 times the money disappeared within 6 months and left nothing behind. Not bad luck, not poor discipline. A psychological and behavioral mechanism so consistent and so well documented that economists have given it a name and written hundreds of papers about it. And once you understand exactly how it works, you can stop it from happening to the next raise before it starts. My name is David, and today we are going to talk about lifestyle inflation. Not in the abstract way financial content usually covers it, where someone tells you not to inflate your lifestyle, and you nod and then inflate your lifestyle anyway. We are going to talk about the specific invisible mechanisms that cause it, the exact sequence of events that unfolds in the 6 to 12 months after every income increase, and the one system I finally built that meant the 4th raise I received actually changed my financial situation instead of just changing my rent. Let me give you the numbers first, because the scale of this problem is larger than most people realize when they think about their own situation. A study by the Bureau of Labor Statistics analyzing household spending data over 20 years found that for every 10% increase in household income, average consumer spending increases by 9.4%. Not 5%, not 3%, 9.4%, almost all of it. The average American converts approximately 94 cents of every new income dollar into new spending within 12 months, which means that if you earn $50,000 and get a 10% raise to $55,000, your annual savings increase by approximately $300, not $5,000, $300. The other $4,700 gets absorbed by spending increases so gradual and so distributed across so many categories that no single expenditure ever feels like the culprit. A separate, longitudinal study published in the Journal of Economic Psychology tracked 3,400 households over 15 years and found that the correlation between income growth and net worth growth was nearly zero for households in the $40,000 to $90,000 income range. Nearly zero. People in that income range were getting raises, getting promotions, earning more over time, and ending up with approximately the same net worth relative to their income as when they started. The raises were happening. The wealth was not accumulating. The gap between the two was entirely explained by lifestyle inflation. Now let me show you 3 people so you can see exactly what this looks like from the outside. James earns $4,200 a month. He gets a raise to $4,600. $400 extra a month. His immediate reaction is the same as mine was. Genuine optimism, real plans, specific intentions. He is going to save at least $200 of it. He decides not to make any big changes. He is just going to let the extra money accumulate. 3 months later, James has moved to a slightly larger apartment. His rent went up $150 a month. He did not think of this as using his raise. He had been wanting more space for a while, and the raise just made it finally feel manageable. The remaining $250 is still there in theory. 6 months after the raise, James has upgraded his gym membership from the $30 facility to the $65 facility because the nicer gym is closer to the new apartment. He has also started ordering lunch at work more regularly because the new neighborhood has better options. He has upgraded his streaming package to include more channels. He has started buying the premium version of several grocery items that he previously bought the store brand of. None of these feel like decisions related to the raise. Each one feels like a small individual quality of life improvement that just happened to become affordable around the same time. 12 months after the raise, James has saved $0 of it. His lifestyle costs $400 more per month, and his savings rate is identical to what it was before. Sophia earns $4,200 a month and gets the same raise to $4,600. On the day she finds out about the raise, she does one thing before she changes anything else in her life. She logs into her bank account and increases her automatic savings transfer by $300, from $200 a month to $500 a month. She does this before she has had time to mentally incorporate the new income into her spending expectations. She does it before the money ever feels like hers in a spendable sense. The remaining $100 of the raise does get absorbed into lifestyle over the following months, and she does not resist this, because she is not trying to live like an ascetic. She just protected $300 of it permanently before the absorption process could begin. 12 months after the raise, Sophia has $3,600 more in savings than she had the year before. She has also modestly improved her lifestyle with the remaining portion. She feels like the raise actually changed something. Then there is Theo. Theo earns $4,200 a month and gets the same raise. Theo has been through this before. He has watched 2 previous raises disappear in exactly the way James's is about to disappear. He has read about lifestyle inflation and understood it intellectually, and inflated his lifestyle anyway both times. Because understanding a trap intellectually does not prevent you from walking into it. This time, Theo does something different. On the day of the raise, before he leaves the office, he opens his bank app on his phone and increases his automatic savings transfer by the full raise amount. $400, the entire raise, gone before it touches his checking account, gone before his brain has registered it as available, gone before any of the invisible mechanisms we are about to discuss have had a chance to operate on it. Theo's lifestyle does not change because there is no new money in his account for his lifestyle to absorb. The raise exists only in his savings account. 12 months later, Theo has $4,800 more saved than he did before the raise. His lifestyle is identical to what it was. He does not feel deprived because he never felt the absence of money he never saw. Same raise, same starting salary. 3 completely different outcomes based entirely on the timing of one decision. Now I want to explain the specific mechanisms that caused James's raise to disappear, because understanding them in detail is what makes the difference between intellectually knowing about lifestyle inflation and actually being able to stop it. Mechanism 1 is called mental accounting, and it was documented extensively by Nobel Prize-winning economist Richard Thaler. Mental accounting is the psychological tendency to treat money differently depending on how you obtained it or how you mentally categorize it. When you receive a raise, your brain immediately creates a new mental account. It does not add the raise to your existing money and make holistic decisions about all of it. It creates a separate category called the new money, and that category gets evaluated differently than your existing income. The new money feels more available, more flexible, more appropriate for upgrading things. It is why people who get tax refunds spend them differently than they spend their regular paychecks, even though the money is identical in every functional way. Your raise gets put in the new money mental account, and the new money mental account has much looser spending controls than your regular income account. You would not spontaneously upgrade your apartment on a Tuesday for no reason, but you will upgrade it when the raise creates a pool of new money that feels like it was specifically generated for improving things. Mechanism 2 is reference point adjustment, and it operates on a slower timeline than mental accounting, but it is ultimately more powerful. When your income increases your reference point for what is normal shifts. The apartment that felt completely adequate at $4,200 a month starts to feel slightly small at $4,600 a month. Not immediately. Gradually. Over 2 to 4 months, the new income level becomes your reference point for normal, and the previous lifestyle level starts to feel like a slight deprivation relative to the new normal. The grocery store where you shopped before starts to feel slightly lower quality now that you could theoretically shop somewhere better. The phone you have starts to feel slightly older now that the upgrade is slightly more affordable. This is not vanity or weakness. It is a fundamental feature of how human beings evaluate their circumstances, always relative to a reference point, and reference points shift upward automatically with income. Mechanism 3 is the distributed decision problem, and it is the reason that lifestyle inflation feels invisible, even as it is happening. The $480 raise James received did not disappear in one decision. It disappeared in approximately 40 to 60 micro decisions made across 6 months each, of which individually cost between $5 and $150, and none of which felt like a decision about the raise. The gym upgrade was a health decision. The apartment was a space decision. The grocery upgrades were a quality decision. The streaming package was an entertainment decision. None of them were consciously connected to the raise in James's mind, but they were all enabled by it. The raise created a sense of financial slack, a feeling that there was a little more room, and that feeling of slack manifested across dozens of small decisions that collectively consumed every dollar of the income increase. Because no single decision was the culprit, there was nothing to identify and correct. The money just went everywhere at once in small amounts. Mechanism 4 is social recalibration, and it is the one nobody talks about, but it affects virtually everyone. When your income increases, your social spending increases almost automatically because your social context shifts. You can afford to go to slightly nicer restaurants, so the friend group's restaurant choices shift slightly upward. You can afford to contribute to the group vacation, so you start going on the group vacations. You can afford the slightly nicer bottle of wine for the dinner party, so you bring the slightly nicer bottle. None of these are individual extravagances. All of them together represent a meaningful increase in your social spending budget that happens without any explicit decision to spend more socially. A study by the National Bureau of Economic Research found that approximately 17% of lifestyle inflation following an income increase is attributable to social spending adjustments, upgrading consumption in shared social contexts to match the new income level. Here is the number that makes all of this concrete. The average American worker receives 3.4% annual wage growth over their career, according to Bureau of Labor Statistics data. On a $50,000 salary, that is $1,700 per year in income growth. If 94% of that is absorbed by lifestyle inflation, as the research suggests, the average worker converts approximately $102 of $1,700 in annual income growth into actual savings increase. $102 per year of $1,700 in income growth. Over a 35-year career, the average worker sees their income roughly triple from entry-level to peak earning years. Their savings rate barely moves. They arrive at retirement with dramatically more income than they started with, and dramatically less savings than they would have if they had captured even 30% of each income increase instead of 6%. The fix is exactly what Theo did, and the reason it works is entirely about timing. The window between learning about a raise and the first paycheck containing that raise is the only moment when the raise can be captured before the psychological mechanisms activate. In that window, the raise has not yet become part of your reference point for normal. It has not yet been mentally allocated to any spending category. It has not yet created the sense of slack that enables the distributed micro-decision spending. It is just a number you heard in an office, and in that window, before the number becomes money in your account, you can redirect it permanently to savings with a single change to your automatic transfer. The mechanism is identical to what we have discussed in previous videos. Automatic transfer. Different bank. Before the money touches your checking account balance. The only new element is the timing trigger. The transfer increase happens on the same day or the day after you learn about the raise, not when the first new paycheck arrives, not after you have had a chance to think about it. The same day. Because thinking about it is where the mechanisms activate. The raise goes into the transfer, before thinking about it, has had time to generate reasons why some of it should stay. I want to address the objection that comes up every single time this topic comes up, because it sounds reasonable, and it is completely wrong. The objection is, but I deserve to enjoy my raise. I worked hard for it. I should be able to improve my life with it. This objection sounds like a statement about fairness, but it is actually a statement about the framing of savings versus spending. If you save $400 of a $480 raise, you are not denying yourself $400 of enjoyment. You are choosing which version of yourself gets that $400. The version of you who is 32 right now, or the version of you who is 55, and would give anything for 23 more years of $400 monthly compounding to have happened. You are going to enjoy that money either way. The question is whether you enjoy it as a slightly nicer grocery store in your 30s, or as financial security and options in your 50s and 60s. The money does not disappear when you save it. It moves forward in time to a version of you who needs it more. Here is the math on what capturing raises actually produces over a career. Assume you start earning $45,000 at 25 and receive average raises of 3.4% annually. If you capture 50% of each raise and direct it to automatic savings, starting with the very first raise, and those savings earn 7% annual returns. By age 60, the captured raises alone, not any baseline savings contributions, just the incremental raise captures, are worth approximately $380,000. $380,000 generated entirely from half of each raise that you would have otherwise spent on reference point adjustments and distributed micro decisions across 35 years. If you capture the full raise the way Theo did, redirecting the entire amount before it touches the checking account, the number at 60 is approximately $740,000 from raises alone on a salary that started at $45,000. This is not a fantasy scenario built on unrealistic assumptions. This is compound interest applied to money that currently flows directly into lifestyle inflation and produces zero return. The money is already passing through your hands. The question is whether it stops at the grocery store upgrade or keeps moving to an account where it compounds for 30 years. James is 35 now. He has received 4 raises since we first met him, and all 4 have disappeared. His income is $5,400 a month, and his savings rate is 4.2%, approximately the same as it was when he earned $4,200. He has a nicer apartment, a nicer car, a nicer lifestyle, and approximately $12,000 saved. He cannot explain where the money went, and he cannot remember the sequence of decisions that produced his current spending level because the decisions were too small and too distributed to remember individually. Sophia is 35 with the same income history. She captured $300 of each raise automatically on the day she received it. Her lifestyle has also improved. She allowed the remaining portion of each raise to flow into spending, and she has no regrets about that. She has $47,000 saved. She has a good life and financial security simultaneously because she understood that you do not have to choose between them. You just have to capture the raise before the mechanisms that eliminate it have time to activate. Theo is 35 with the same income history. He captured the full amount of each raise. His lifestyle looks roughly identical to what it looked like 5 years ago. He does not feel this as deprivation because his reference point never shifted to include the raises. He has $89,000 saved. He is on a trajectory to retire meaningfully earlier than either James or Sophia if he chooses to. His financial life looks completely different from James's despite identical career progression and identical income at every point along the way. The difference between James and Theo is not discipline or sacrifice or willpower. It is the timing of one decision relative to one psychological window. James made his decisions after the mechanisms activated. Theo made his decision before they could. Benjamin Franklin said that an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. What he meant in context was about education, but the principle applies perfectly here. The knowledge that there is a psychological window between learning about a raise and receiving it, and that this window is the only moment when the raise can be fully captured, is worth approximately $380,000 to $740,000 over a career, depending on how aggressively you use it. That is the return on the 6 minutes you spent watching this section of this video. My name is David. 3 raises disappeared from my life before I understood what I am telling you right now. The 4th one went directly into a savings account. On the same afternoon, I found out about it. I never felt its absence. I only felt its presence 14 months later when I looked at my savings balance and saw the evidence of a decision I had made in about 90 seconds on a completely ordinary Tuesday. Your next raise is coming. Maybe this year. Maybe next year. Maybe it already happened, and you are already in month 3 of the window where it can still be partially captured. When you find out the number, Before you do anything else, before you tell anyone, before you calculate what it means for your monthly budget, open your bank app and increase your automatic transfer. The whole thing if you can. Half of it if the whole thing feels like too much. Something before nothing. Right now, before the mechanisms that have taken every previous raise have time to take this one too. If this made you think about a raise that disappeared, and you finally understand why, hit the like button now. The next video covers exactly what to do once your savings account crosses $10,000. The specific moves that turn your first real savings into a foundation that works for the rest of your life. One question for the comments. Think about the last raise you received. Do you know where it went? Not approximately. Specifically, what did it become? Drop it below. I will start. Mine became a slightly nicer apartment, an Equinox membership I used 4 times, and approximately $0 in additional savings. You cannot do worse than that.